Hi, everybody, and welcome to another installment of Daily Athenaeum Super Sports Monday with me, David Statman, the Daily Athenaeum Sports Editor, and Daily Athenaeum Associate Sports Editor, Mr. Christian Jackson.
Yep.
The king of the Bay.
That's
who
right.
is still recovering from watching Steph go supernova last night.
I'd just like to thank Steph for changing my life. You know, I was very hyped on Saturday night. I'm surprised I didn't get a noise disturbance in my dorm. So, thank you to this university for letting me get away with such loud noises.
And I respect you because you were there. You're not a bandwagon Warriors fan. You were there when Troy Murphy and Mike Dunleavy and Andres Biedrins, who once shot 9% from the free throw line for an entire season. Actually a thing that happened in professional basketball.
Yeah.
And people complain about Devin Williams. Oh, Devin Williams shot 4 for 8 from the free throw line. Oh my God, how are we ever going to survive?
At least
Andres Biedrins shot 9%. That's 1 out of every 11 free throws made. And he was paid to do that. Speaking of Devin Williams and the West Virginia Mountaineers men's basketball team, another big week for them last week. 2 wins. They get a vital home win against Iowa State on Monday night, a 9 p.m. game, which was awful for us because I got to be at the office until 1 a.m. And then Saturday night, they go to Oklahoma State. Probably not the blowout that they were hoping for against one of the worst teams in the conference, but they get it done. 14 points against a team that has had a ton of injuries. You know, and the big thread connecting both those games, Jayhawk Page just continues to kill it.
He scored 51 points last week, 34 against Iowa State, a school record off the bench. The bench had 69 points against Iowa State.
69 points.
Just let's take that in for a second. What other bench in this country is better than West Virginia's? I can't name one.
There really isn't any, and especially now that you have Nate Adrian in the starting lineup, playing confidently, playing well. And, you know, Tavon Myers in the starting lineup, #Tavon time. You are bringing off a bench unit that has Jayhawk Page, Tariq Phillip, Jolton John Holton, and Daxter Miles Jr. That kind of depth is insane, and you don't see it in other teams. You look at Iowa State, 5 really good players.
They have like
really
a 6-man rotation. Their 7th guy played 2 minutes, I think, at the most. He barely played out there.
And they're one of the better teams in the country.
Imagine if they had depth, that team.
Yeah.
Just imagine that. They'd be insane.
Naz Long blowing his knee up really hurt him bad. But, I mean, that's the thing that separates this team from anyone. Tariq Phillip, 6 3-pointers against Iowa State. He's been amazing. Basically all Big 12 play. And Jayhawk Page completely overshadows him. 34 points, a school record off the bench in scoring. Like, this is insane what these guys are doing right now.
And you look at Jayhawk Page, too. Saturday night, that one pull-up, he just, all the arc on it with a man in his face from the corner. I don't know how he did that.
He does this all the time. I don't know if I've ever seen a player at this university with a better step-back jumper than Jayhawk Page. And
because I can't.
You know, they're continuing to get really good work from Jonathan Holton. Had 10 rebounds against Iowa State. Followed that up, 11 rebounds against Oklahoma State. They don't need to count on him to really do anything more than that and just be, you know, tenacious on defense. And Devin Williams, again, comes up, 13 points, 15 rebounds. He's leading the Big 12 in double-doubles.
Yep.
You know, we're coming right to the end of it, and the press hasn't quite been as dominating as it has been in the past, but the difference between this team and last year's team is that they actually have firepower. Last year was basically just Jawan Staten and a pile of flaming crap. And this year, they have a bunch of guys who can hurt you.
This team's going to be dangerous come tournament time. All the depth, too. That's going to take this team a long way. And if you're at the second game of each weekend against this team, you do not want to play them. Because if you have a day to prepare for them, I'm sorry, but good luck.
Yeah.
I just don't see how you beat them.
You can't, even though the press hasn't been as overwhelming, when you're going up against Big 12 teams that have all played it, you know, we're into the second rotation of Big 12 games, and so in the second year of Press Virginia, all these teams have seen the press 3 times. And so it's natural that they're doing a little bit better against it than they have been in the past. But if you're going up against teams that have never faced it before, that can be overwhelming. Just look at what it did to Maryland last year.
Oh, Maryland's was stacked, too. They're a really stacked team, and they struggled. Dax was in Melo Trimble's face all night, saying some things to him, too, of course. But
of course, as
probably
Dax
getting in
does.
his head.
As Dax does.
Yeah.
You know, an interesting fact I found out about, well, this is only tangentially related because it's related.
Still good, though, Jevon Carter.
Yeah, we found out the other day. I found this out Saturday night when I was watching the Oklahoma State game. A friend of mine told me that apparently Jevon Carter's first name is Leroy. Just wanted to put that out there.
It goes along with his hairline.
Yeah, so. I know. So, Leroy Carter. Hashtag 3Roy Carter, am I right? He never makes threes, but he hit one against Oklahoma State.
But he's a heck of a defender, though, too.
He is. He's been putting in solid
He doesn't
effort.
really need the offensive production because he's got Sean and Turi coming off the bench doing everything, but he's a great defender.
Absolutely. You got to give him credit. But I just wanted to put out there that his name is Leroy. Jevon is his middle name. He's Leroy Carter Jr. His father's name was Leroy. You know, can understand that. Family tradition of Leroys in the Carter family. You know, as one does. I probably wouldn't name my kid Leroy, but then again, I can't really, argue with it. It's a nice name.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you're probably going to name your kid like Lynx or something after Lynx Hawthorne, the great Baylor player.
Probably name it after Lynx. Lynx Statman, I think, would work. You can't jinx the Lynx.
You really can't.
Can't jinx him.
Or Bricks, like his brother.
Or Bricks, yeah.
Our parents
can't
screwed up.
Trick the bricks, tricks the bricks. Nah.
Whatever you feel.
Good. But, we saw Kansas clinch, obviously, another Big 12 championship, 12 in a row now, 12 in the Big 12.
That's incredible.
But when you look up and down at the depth of this conference, Kansas obviously has been a cut above, even though WU did beat them in Morgantown. But West Virginia is now, with that win, and Oklahoma's lost to Texas, sole possession of second place in the conference, 11-5 in one of the deepest conferences we've ever seen, the conference that Huggins called the toughest he's ever been in.
And that's saying something. He was coaching in the Big East. Think about that. All those teams, when they have every single powerhouse there. He's doing big things here. Press Virginia changed this program. Picked to finish 6th in the conference in the preseason polls.
That was a great pick.
All alone in second, so
yeah,
you can't really doubt this man.
I don't think that... I think when WVU left the Big East, we were all kind of thinking we might never see a conference like that again, with so many good teams, with so much depth, with so many conference, contenders, and so many teams in a conference that, could be national contenders. You're going to have, if Texas Tech gets in, 70% of the conference being in the Big 12, being in the NCAA tournament. You have 60% of the coaches in here have been in the Final Four, as we said last week. And you look at the teams that WU is above. Oklahoma has Buddy Hield. They're the best shooting team that we've seen maybe ever.
They're above Shaka Smart's Texas team, too. They're above Baylor. They're above Iowa State.
And they beat Baylor. They beat Iowa State twice. I mean, you can't say that WVU isn't where they are on merit.
You have to give so much credit to Huggins. He's now 9th all-time in the all-time Division I winning list. I mean, that's crazy stuff right there. That's really hard to get to.
And now you have to ask the question, because Huggins won Big 12 Coach of the Year last year, and deservedly so, because he did an incredible coaching job last year. Do you give it to him again this year, or do you give it maybe to Shaka, or do you give it to... I mean, the old cop-out answer is always Bill Self because they win every single year.
Shaka would be a great one, but look at what Tubby Smith's done at Texas Tech. I mean, they've won 5 of their last 6.
Yeah.
They beat 3 ranked opponents during that span. Now they're looking like a tournament team all of a sudden. If they just win one more game this week, they've got West Virginia, which is always tough, especially in Morgantown. They've got Kansas State. Kansas State's better than its record says, of course.
They are. They're not an easy out.
But just one win this week I guarantee, would put them in the tournament. They are a really good team now.
And Tubby Smith's a guy who has a national championship, and also his name is Tubby. So I'm completely down with that. There aren't enough people named Tubby in our daily lives.
Now, who would you give it to, though?
I think that Tubby Smith's a great choice. Texas Tech has not been a contender pretty much ever. Even really when they had Bobby Knight as their coach.
They haven't made the tournament since 2007.
Yeah, and that was when Bobby Knight was the coach.
Yep.
And even when they did make the tournament, they were never serious, you know. They were never, like, a seriously tough team. And they didn't do it in a conference that was nearly as tough as the conference they are now. And for them, without really a star player, without really, you know, any pedigree on that team, to be able to carve out right now an 8-8 record in that conference, some really big wins. They beat Oklahoma. That's huge. That is an amazing job that Tubby's done down in Lubbock.
He's a heck of a coach. He's bringing in his type of players, too. A lot of players have said, too, he's not just making them better players, but he's making them better men, too, which is really good. This guy's building a lot of character. Guys that are all team first. They don't care about the individual things. I mean, it's great if these guys make all Big 12, but their biggest concern is winning, which you gotta love. Everything Tubby Smith's done there is great, and I can't wait to see what he does there over the next few years.
And that's going to be a must-watch game Wednesday night. Texas Tech comes to WVU. It was a really tough game down there on the road last month. And senior night, WVU honoring John Holton, Jayhawk Page, and the man who I think is the heart and soul of this team, from White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia, none other than Richard Romeo III. I threw him a bounce pass last week at Mediaville. The ball bounced over to me. Hit it with a nice, lefty bounce pass back. Thought he was impressed by the zip I put on that thing,
Your claim to fame.
Yeah, I've been honing that. I've been honing that skill for a while now. I'm basically Steve Nash at this point.
And also Tavon Myers. We've got a Nerf ball right here.
Absolutely.
Let's get that out.
So we got a Nerf ball. We have a Nerf hoop, but we didn't have a ball. But Saturday night, courtesy of my good friend Angelo Inglisa, got a nice, fresh, crisp Nerf ball. This thing is a gift from the gods, and we want to formally challenge Tavon Myers to a Nerf shootout here at the DA office. It will be Tavon time, but it's also going to be DA time, because we're going to win, I think.
Yeah, Tavon, you should come, because let's not forget, Statman is probably your biggest fan, too.
I am.
He's
Tavon's
always getting
biggest fan.
hyped to you. Tavon time. That hashtag comes out every 5 minutes during games, it seems like.
Every time Tavon does something.
Yeah, you should see.
Tavon time.
It's quite the time.
It is the time. It is the time of all of our lives.
It really is.
And I hope you see this, Tavon, because I'm coming for you. Let's change gears, though, because basketball, everything is fine and dandy.
But how about the women, though? You got Bria Holmes, also congratulations to her, gets engaged after senior night. That's quite the night for her. Senior night win, beats a ranked Oklahoma State team by, 34 points?
34 points.
She scores 27. Then right after, her longtime boyfriend proposes to her, and they get engaged on TV.
Yeah.
So it's quite the night for her on Saturday.
Absolutely. That's got to be the night of her life. And this is a WVU team that they look pretty much destined for the NCAA tournament. After an extremely disappointing season last year, they come back with all these freshmen, all these new players. Bria Holmes basically had to score 25 points a night last year for them to win. And now she's averaging, I think, 16 a game. Doesn't have to do as much because she's got so much depth behind her. And this is a WVU team that Mike Carey, the head coach, said before the year, there were so many new players, there were so many transfers coming in, freshmen, that he said he didn't expect to have any hair left by the end of the year. And for a man like Mike Carey, who has got an immaculate head of hair, beautifully sculpted like Michelangelo.
So just the immaculate hair, unlike the immaculate reception.
It would have been a shame to see a bald Mike Carey, but they have gelled way better than anyone could have possibly expected. And Bria Holmes is still out here. She can drop 25, 30 really any night she wants.
A credit to Carey, though, for developing these players so fast. Now they're a tournament team. Who'd have thought before the year that this team would really make any noise out there? And now they've just beaten a ranked team by 34 points. That's pretty good.
They really only had, two veterans coming back who really played a lot last year, Holmes, and then their starting center, Lene Montgomery, who's basically just a shot blocking machine in the middle. Not really an offensive player. But you see last night, Tynese Martin, a freshman, comes off the bench, scores 20 points. Tiana Muldrow, sophomore, struggled most of last year, hits 4 threes off the bench. They're starting freshmen, they're starting transfers, they're starting, they're playing all these guys who have not really, been at this level, but they have all come together. And now this team, they're going to be in the NCAA tournament. They missed out last year with a lot of veterans on this team. But this team, a young team that most of these players have never played together, have come together. And now, you look at them, they're third in the Big 12, 11-6 record, behind two of the best teams in the country, Baylor and Texas. And then they're right there.
Let's think about this. So this sounds like the men's team from Saturday's stats. Forced 18 turnovers and had 40 bench points.
Yeah. 20 of them from 34 of them from Martin and Muldrow, who basically went, Jayhawk and Tariq against Oklahoma State. And they hold Oklahoma State to 27.5% shooting. And they shoot 55% from the field, WVU does. That's how sports happen. That's how you win by 34. Just a fantastic performance in a season that they've had a lot of really big games. And I feel like they haven't really gotten their national due. This is a team that probably should be ranked higher than they are. They've kind of been on the fringe of the top 25 the whole year, and they've never been able to really stick. Like, they get up to 23, and then they lose, and then they drop out. They need to be in there for good. Because they deserve it. They've earned it.
They really should be. But we got to say, it was quite the weekend for Mountaineer sports, too. The women's team's done great. Men's team gets a win. Now they're in second place. And the baseball team, too, was on fire.
Baseball team, we talked about it last week. So many freshmen on this team, in the lineup and in big spots. And they went off against a pretty solid UNLV team that tested itself last week against Texas, won 1 of 3 down in Austin. And then you see Darius Hill going nuts.
And Cole Austin going crazy,
going
too.
nuts.
Galuski's got a heck of a glove out there, too.
Yeah. We were wondering how that middle infield was going to work out with Cole Austin and Galuski. And it looks great so far. With Kyle Davis moving to third, he hit 2 home runs. Hit home runs in the first 2 games of the UNLV series. You look at what Darius Hill did in the first 2 games against UNLV. A 9-6 win in the first game, 13-1 in the second game. He combines to go 6 for 10. He hits the home run that basically put the game away in the 9th inning in the first game. And then he has 7 runs batted in. This is a lineup built around freshmen with, only a couple veterans that are really in there that you could count on, like Davis and, Jackson Kramer, who hasn't really had the best start to the season, and Ray Garini. But this has been a fantastic start.
Let's think about it, too. Kyle Davis is a sophomore, and they've got all these freshmen. The future for that offense is pretty bright over the next couple of years.
And with the starting pitching that they have, you saw Ross Vance go 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 8 strikeouts. Chad Donato had one of his kind of workhorse outings that he always has. Did give up 6 runs, but he went 7 2/3. 10 strikeouts. He's a guy that's just going to eat up innings the whole year. And, then they have B.J. Myers as well, who was last week's
pitch against D.J. Myers, though.
I know. I was really disappointed because I found out when I was writing the preview for UNLV, their Friday night starter is D.J. Myers. And last year, WVU's Friday night starter was B.J. Myers, but Randy Mazey had to go and switch up the rotation on us, and we can't have B.J. versus D.J., which is just a shame.
Devastated.
It's a shame. It is a travesty. I mean, no matter which order you put them in, it's going to be a really good rotation. B.J. Myers was the Big 12 Pitcher of the Week last week. Here's a trivia question for you, Chris. See if you get this. Who were the only other 2 Mountaineer pitchers to win Big 12 Pitcher of the Week? If you had read my article, I put this in there. So you're betraying your own lack of
2 years ago, we had 1 pitcher. Get in there, yep.
You want to name him?
You can name him. It's your story.
I asked you the question. It was a trivia question. It goes one way, Chris.
Yeah, I'm not knowing this.
Sean Carley and Harrison Musgrave.
That's that Musgrave. I knew.
Musgrave. Come on,
weird
man.
name.
It's not that weird of a name.
Yeah, Musgrave.
Harrison Musgrave?
Musgrave? What kind of name
Musgrave.
is that?
I don't know. It's probably...
No.
English or Scots-Irish or something. I don't know where his family tree comes from.
That is the lynx of last names.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
We got guys on this team named Galuski
Yeah, but think
and
about
Zarbniski.
But Musgrave has grave in the name.
I don't understand where you're coming from, man. I don't know. UNLV, we just played UNLV that has, Andrew Yazdanbach as their catcher.
Oh, that's a hard name to spell. That's impossible.
But, and you're harping on Harrison Musgrave. I don't know what your deal is, man. But
talking about Mountaineer names, though.
Talking about Mountaineer names, I mean, it seems pretty normal. We got Braden Zarbniski on this team. But we've gotten completely sidetracked.
Played in one game.
We're talking about how great Darius Hill has been.
What about Kyle Gray, though, too?
Kyle Gray.
He's not getting enough credit for a freshman.
Yeah, I mean, all these guys, and this is only a few games in, but all these freshmen, Austin 313, Gray 300, Darius Hill 294 with the power, Galuski showing a great glove, and has gotten 3 doubles so far. And then the starting pitching. Ross Vance, I love watching him pitch. He's my favorite guy. He's got the weirdest motion you'll ever see, where he, has that really high leg kick, and then he comes in sidearm, and it's just at such a weird pace that it kind of lulls the hitter to sleep. And it's like he tops out at 80, and sometimes he'll just lose the release point and start throwing the ball all over the place. It's like, wow, he just had 6 wild pitches in 1 inning. Oh my God, how crazy is that? But then, he'll have a game where he throws 8 innings and gives up 2 hits, and no one made any solid contact on him. Those are the pitchers you just love to watch.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure. He was a bit wild last year sometimes, but looking pretty good this year.
Yeah.
You gotta say, this team's looking really good.
The whole rotation's looking good. And they have a bullpen they can trust much more this year with Blake Smith back and Boone, Jeff Hardy. We've said it before. We've been talking about it the last couple weeks, how optimistic you can be about this team. And obviously they'll probably have a really, really hard time competing with the big teams from Texas, like Texas, TCU, Oklahoma, because those are just baseball hotbeds. I mean, those are the traditional powers that you're always going to have trouble overcoming. But this is a WVU team that's got enough about them that they'll probably at least give them a really heck of a tough time. And that's really all you can ask for a team like that. It's really all you can ask.
Do you think they're capable of making the NCAA tournament this year?
See, it's tough because it's been about, 20 years?
Since 96?
Yeah, 96. And, since they've made it to the Big 12, they've had... It was 2 years ago that they probably had enough talent, but they didn't make it with a rotation that was anchored by your buddy Harrison Musgrave.
Yeah, that's right.
But, I thought if ever a WVU baseball team was going to make the NCAA tournament, had the talent to make an NCAA tournament, it was probably that team. But I don't know if this team's not better. It'll depend on whether, the veterans can step up. Guys, can Jackson Kramer make the leap and become the middle of the order power bat that they need? Can Ray Guarini hit consistently? And can their defense mesh together with all these new gloves in there? Because we know the pitching's probably going to be there. I think that they can do it. I think that they definitely can do it. I think that they probably could be one of the better teams in the conference. And this is one of the best and toughest baseball conferences you'll find. I think they can make it.
Within the next 2 years, they'll make it. I guarantee that.
You're making a guarantee.
Yeah, I guarantee it.
You should never make guarantees, Chris.
Mark my words. They will make it in the next 2 years.
I will mark your words. And we'll see. I will come back in 2 years.
You can't doubt the power of Randy Mazey.
Randy Mazey. He is a wonderful man. Randy Mazey. He is. So let's just look ahead like we usually do. What we got coming up this next week. Obviously tonight, a really big showcase for WVU where they play the Arizona Diamondbacks. How cool is that going to be to see WVU play against a pro team down in the Cactus League in Scottsdale, down in their spring training, And not only a really cool, just a cool thing to watch, WVU playing against a pro team, but it's got to be such a really cool experience for these players to get to go up against, they want to be where those guys are, and they get to test themselves against pro players. That's going to be awesome.
Oh, that's going to be really awesome for these guys, too. And for some of these guys that are eventual pro talents, like Kyle Davis, you have to assume he's going to get his chances, that's for sure. So he can definitely test out right now how he fares against professional-type guys. I mean, it's going to be tough for these guys, clearly, because this is top-of-the-line guys right here. There's a big difference between college baseball and the pros.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so we got that going on. They've got a 4-game series in Hawaii. We were talking about this last week, how jealous we are, because they get to go. They had this 3-game series against UNLV that this past weekend. Today against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Then they get to go out to Hawaii for 4 games. And the rest of us are stuck in Morgantown going to classes like a bunch of normies,
Should have
Why
continued playing baseball.
Why can't we have that life?
Why did we stop playing baseball?
I don't know.
What's
Probably
wrong with
because
us?
we would never have been good enough anyway, but still.
Yeah.
You got that going on for baseball. For men's basketball, you got the last week of the Big 12 schedule. Home against Texas Tech, Wednesday night, senior night. Should probably, hopefully expect a full house for that to honor Richard Romeo and then 2 other guys. I'm actually going to have the WVU Snapchat, so that's going to be cool. And then they go away to Baylor, last game of the season. Baylor was a team that owned them last year, beat them 3 times. WVU beat them by 11 at home. They shut down Prince. They shut down Rico Gathers. Then they can try and repeat that feat in the last regular season game of the season at Baylor. You see that happening again?
I could see them easily going 2-0 this week, but I could also see them going 0-2 just with the way college basketball is this year.
Absolutely.
So that's no shot at this Mountaineers team whatsoever because they are the real deal. It's just college basketball. Especially the Big 12 right now. You can't predict the stuff.
Yeah.
You really can't.
And then we've got, obviously, since we were talking about the women's team earlier, we've got their last home game we already had their last home game of the season, obviously, but their last game of the season. Then Big 12 tournament starts down in Oklahoma City, a nice town, this next weekend. They're obviously contending with 2 of the best teams in the country, Baylor and Texas. It'd be a huge upset if they're able to take out either one of them to win the tournament. But they don't need to win the tournament to get in. They can play with that safety in mind, with that security in mind that they're gonna be in no matter what they do. But still a huge thing to watch. Thankfully, they don't overlap at all, so you can take in the whole Big 12 women's basketball tournament. And then, about a couple days later, that's when the men's basketball tournament starts out in Kansas City. That's going to be awesome. Especially since me and Spellman, who's right there, Spellman, acknowledge me. Hi, Spellman. We're going to get to go and just have a lot of fun in KC.
Well, I
watch
cry.
A lot of basketball. And you're going to be
tears coming out of my eyes.
Back in Morgantown.
Just gonna cry. But hey, baseball opening weekend.
Baseball's opening weekend, and I'm not gonna get to go to that because I'm gonna be in Kansas City, so I'm gonna miss that.
But you get to see the Big 12 tournament.
I do.
So either way, we both have positives that weekend.
We do.
We really can't complain.
Get to do cool and good things, and hopefully, at some point in the intervening period, we're gonna have a Nerf shootout with Tavon Myers.
Tavon, we are expecting you to come here.
This is you, Tavon. Let's do this. Bring it on. We're gonna go Super Saiyan on him.
That's for sure.
That's for sure.
Yep. You're getting pretty confident heading into this.
I am pretty confident. Listen, I'm not a great basketball shooter, but I'm a good Nerf shooter. Those are 2 completely different skill sets. All right, completely different. I feel like I'm confident against anybody in a Nerf shootout. I feel like I've got what it takes.
Tavon time. You can't doubt.
I know.
Tavon
I'm messing with the power of Tavon time, and that's a considerable power to trifle with. But I feel like I got something of my own here.
If you beat Tavon Myers, pizza on me.
Pizza on you, and it's gonna be Pizza Al's. It's gonna be like one of those big old Pizza Al's pizzas.
It's fine with me.
All right, shake on that.
Yep.
All right,
That's
let's do that.
deal.
Okay, so that'll be pretty much it. That's it. So thanks again for watching another episode of DA Sports Super Sports Monday. I'm David Statman, along with Chris Jackson. Thanks for watching, everybody.